Hello, everyone. Today we're going to go over an overview of what Congress is. So, Congress is a bicameral Congress. Bicameral means two houses. Like a room with a partition, Congress is one Congress made up of two houses. There are three reasons for this. One, it's historical. Back in England, the British Parliament did it. They had a House of Commons and a House of Lords. Next, it's practical. It helped resolve disputes between large and small states. And it's also theoretical. It helps with checks and balances. So, we're going to talk about the powers of Congress. There are three types of powers there are expressed powers, mostly in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. These are powers that are stated in the Constitution. Next are implied powers. These are not stated, but drawn from the expressed powers. For example, to regulate commerce and set minimum wage. Then there's the inherent powers. These are powers that belong to all sovereign nations that control borders. So, first, we're going to talk about the U.S. Senate. There are 100 members, two per state. They are elected to 6-year terms, and there are some qualifications to be in the Senate. You have to be at least 30 years old. You have to have been a citizen for the last 9 years, and you must live in the state you wish to run in at the time of the race. So, the Senate has some powers of its own. First, they try impeachment cases brought by the House. They vote on all bills and legislation sent up from the House. More often than not, they amend such bills before passage, requiring a return to the House, which either votes for the amended bill or continues to revise it. Senate leadership. The Vice President is officially the President of the Senate. This is largely a ceremonial position, as this is a non voting position, except in the event of a 50-50 tie, the Vice President casts the deciding vote. Paradoxically, the least and most important person. Next, we have the majority and minority leaders. This is where the true power is in the Senate. So it's elected by the Senate members of his or her party. They are the most visible members of the Senate. Often meets with and acts in concert with the Speaker of the House and the President. Next are the majority and minority whips, as the name implies, responsible for party discipline, keeping members in line, and generally enforcing proper party behavior. Then we have the President pro tempore. This is almost entirely a ceremonial title, usually guaranteed to the senior member of the majority party. The President pro tempore presides when the Vice President is unavailable. Otherwise has the same power as any other senator. Now we have the House of Representatives. There are currently 435 members, based on each state's population. A representative is only elected to a 2-year term and must go for election every 2 years. The qualifications are You must be 25 years old. You must have been a citizen for the last 7 years. And you must live in the state you wish to run in at the time of the race. The House also has powers. For example, they introduce legislation and, if passed, move on to Senate approval. Originates revenue-raising measures. All bills regarding money must come from the House. They have the sole power of impeachment, with trial if required by the Senate. Approves by 2/3 vote any constitutional amendments prior to state ratification. House leadership. Speaker of the House. The Speaker of the House is elected by the majority party. He or she presides over the House. This is the principal leader of the party and is the third in the line of succession to the presidency. Assigns bills to committees and assigns membership within committees. So, just like the Senate, there's a majority leader. This is the floor leader of the party that holds the majority of seats in Congress. Carries out decisions of their party caucuses. Steers floor action to their party's benefit. Chief spokesman for his or her party in the chamber. And is more powerful in the House because he or she has more votes. Again, we also have a minority leader. The floor leader of the party that holds the minority of the seats in each house. Carries out decisions of their party's caucuses. Steers floor action to their party's benefit. And is the chief spokesman for his or her party in the chamber. And just like in the Senate, there is the majority-minority whip, which function pretty much like the Senate counterparts. Then finally, we have congressional staff. Both houses have equal amount of money allocated for funding. Senators usually have larger staff. 1/4 back home in home district offices to deal with constituents. They draft bills, do research, and negotiate with interest groups. So they work on behalf of the congressional person to help them get their bills across or meet with important people. And now here are the committees of Congress. So you can see there are House standing committees and there's Senate standing committees. You'll see the House has 2 more committees than the Senate. And some of them overlap, some of them are unique. For example, the House Administration and the Rules Committee are just in the House. In the Senate, you have a Rules and Administration, so you can see that's 2 committees combined into 1. And you can see Energy and Commerce and Transportation on this House side, whereas on the Senate side, those are combined. And then you have the joint committees of Congress, the Economic, Library, Printing, and Taxation. This is a committee that has members of both the House and the Senate. So, we're going to leave with this quote by Woodrow Wilson. It is indispensable that besides the House, which runs on all 4s of popular sentiment, we should have a body like the Senate, which may refuse to wrong with it at all wherein it seems wrong. That is all for today. See you next video.